Yalla, infidels, as we break in like rock stars, triple extra large, ready to smash guitars over your bars, infidels. We're going to kick it back. Another stiff shot of, what is it, light the fuse. That's right, the dynamite's about to explode. It's wedding day. Are the bells ring-a-linging? It's time to get jingling. Here on Light the Fuse AEW Dynamite review. Yalla! Got it out. Oh man, I am in a weird space still. I think wrestling broke me this week with from Friday to Sunday to Monday to then review it for 6 to 7 hours. The Impact to Light the Fuse last night. I was just sitting there going, what am I watching? So hopefully we can clear up some of the clouds. We can get above the clouds and not be too wily today, but man, I'm going to try and be on some type of behavior. I don't know. I can't promise nothing still. I can't promise nothing, but your beard looks good, looks oiled up. It's growing in lovely. I saw you doing some cartwheels last night. Lucha, the kid's back in the ring. Good to see you, buddy.
Well, little spoiler for you. That's some older footage that was edited.
Oh.
But yeah, the kid is back on the podcast at least, and thanks for noticing the beard. I just did some manscaping earlier today, so you guys out there that want to learn how to be a bit more burly, sexy, feel free to contact myself and Hamin. It has been a wild week in wrestling, and I kind of want to let the rubber band go a little bit. I'm going to keep you from teetering off that edge, but I want to see where this thing takes us. It could be an explosive.
Explosive West Coast shit. It's Baked Boy himself. He's up in the mountains high above looking down on us all with his new sponsorship from Baked Boys, you guys. And they said to shoot bang bang. We got Roadcasters on the way. They're not there yet, but Team Roadcaster is coming. So big shout out to Rhodes. All I can say is Japanese, and we're gonna do it real big all year, man. But it's MSG in the place to be. How's it going, buddy?
Be chilling in my UFO, riding through the galaxy with my bros, looking down at this big blue globe, about to bust up these motherfucking bones. Anyway, what's up? What's going on, guys? We're back. Light the Fuse. I'm your host in the scene with the air is clean. I'm lighting up green, your boy MSG. Yes, I'm sponsored by thebakedboysclub.com. Not just a brand, but a lifestyle. Use the code SuckMyBallsPod and you can save 15% off. What's up, guys? I'm excited. Ready.
Man, they broke me, dog. They broke me to the main, and I had to rewatch it today to be like, okay, all right, because I was just shook. I was halfway crooks.
I heard you on Friday Locker Room. You were getting it.
Yeah, what was I? I don't even remember. Yeah, that was this morning. I don't even remember. That was fucking 4 hours ago. That's how fucked over I am, man. But still, you go ahead, man. You call it, dude. I'm just gonna follow you.
Before we release the inner demons of Hamin, can we all agree that the main event of Dynamite last night was pretty dope?
Yeah, definitely. That was the best I've ever seen the Good Brothers, dude. Right? I was happy for them that way, We do talk a lot of shit on each other, and we act critically, and we've seen some stuff and behaviors here and there, but a good performance is a good performance. There was things in there where Phoenix is the most incredible wrestler possibly in the history of the game ever. But there's things where I'm like, he sucks because he's that good and he misses them. I'm going to cut right to it. This because I just watched it. When they're on the outside and then he goes back up, they do the fucking big double flip, which is terrible. But then he goes back up and he jumps on the top rope, does a fucking backflip, moonsault into a back roll to come up and hit a cutter. That's fucking rotten. And it's not to be evasive why he's doing it. He could do that exact thing. But how can Ben Hamin, who is not a lucha, know how to punch this up? They get their shit in on the flip, whatever. He goes back up to do the moonsault. At that time, Omega should be running in at him. So he moonsaults over Omega, lands on his feet. Then Omega turns. Then Omega comes at him again. He front rolls underneath it, turns. Omega turns back, cutter. Instead of bang, roll back, cutter, while Omega stands there waiting to take a fucking cutter, bro. Like, I don't understand how you can be so incredible at this shit, like on some alien level shit, you know, and miss, like, when people go, oh, well, that's just the new style, and getting, you know, offense in and da-da-da-da has got to be all this, that, and the other. No, with 2 tweaks, that whole sequence would have meant everything. How he did it, it meant, watch me get my athletic shit in, and wrestling doesn't mean shit. You know, like, that's where after I'm burnt out at the end of the week, I'm just like, oh, how are guys on TV that do things I could never do, and I'm sitting here having to go, fuck, I can't wait to light the fuse when I got to bury this shit instead of, you know, it just kicks me in the balls. And how many times can you, I'm like one of them fucking dudes who was practicing. Everybody's seen the video of those guys taking a brick and smashing themselves in the nuts in China. Like, every fucking time I watch one of these shows now, it's like that. Like, how is Shawn Michaels an agent and this stuff is getting missed? How is, like, I just can't, I don't know how much more I can take still, really.
Well, just a disclaimer, Shawn Michaels is not an agent at AEW.
Well, I watched the same thing on NXT, and I'm going,
I got you.
How is it missed? How is it missed?
Here's the deal, man. Where the disconnect is between Lucha Libre and the American audience is stuff like that. And I'm not saying Lucha Libre doesn't tell stories, but I think on their cards, they might have, let's say, a match or two with a deep-rooted story, and then other matches are just all action. I heard Conan talking about it on his Keeping It 100 podcast, that when he books a lucha show, he books at least one match that's a video game match, as he called it, where just guys go in and nobody worries about what makes sense, what doesn't, just enjoy the spectacle. So I think that's the background Phoenix comes from. And as you noted, he does it better than fucking anybody in the world, arguably. Anybody
on the planet, bro. I've never seen athleticism like that.
That's the disconnect, you know?
And I'm not, tell me I'm right or anything like that, but with those 2 little switches, it's the exact same spot. Mm-hmm. Doesn't it make all the sense in the world and still fit the video game style they want to do? And now the offense means something. You did a moonsault for no reason over nobody to evade nothing, nor hit any offense. You did a back roll not to evade a high coming kick or strike, which is why you would roll in the first place. And then the pop-up cutter out of nowhere wasn't there because he doesn't turn into anything to get it out of nowhere. So that spot was, unless, and that's the only thing I could say to counter my own points, Kenny effed up and wasn't there and didn't run in and do that. So he just kept backing up until he took the cutter. So maybe that was what they intended and it didn't come off. So I got him a get out of jail free card where I talked myself out of it. But I hate to even have to have that conversation in my mind. But if it's a botch spot where they wanted to do that, then so be it.
It's possible. And I can't argue that point with you. It would have made more sense had they done it that way. But it was a cool looking thing. Sometimes,
I mean, if that's what I got to bitch about in that match, cool. I can just tell myself to shut the fuck up, bro, and shut the fuck up. Because there was so much in there that was unbelievable, great timing to really cement, not cement, but reignite like the fuse on Bullet Club to make them look like a cohesive unit. You can stand there and throw hand signs all night long, but until you got the whoop wop past the mic, which they established last night. They didn't establish that in WWE ever, really, not with AJ and them. They never had that kind of flow that they had last night. So, and then John Tenta shows up. Kenta shows up, and he's got pink hair and a new shirt for everybody to buy at ProWrestlingTees.com, where you can save on the final day of Customer Appreciation Day. Go to all of our stores, and I'm sure Kenta's as well.
Well, guys, we're back for another edition of Light the Fuse right here. Now, there was some different things that happened in the world of professional wrestling this week. Now, of course, most of these headlines you can find on the latest edition of the Friday Locker Room, which will be available to you right here on hackerarmy.podbean.com, all of our digital outlets. as well as on Hamin and Hamin Media Group YouTube at the appropriate time. That being said, Sylvia, was there anything you wanted to talk about this week in particular? Any Royal Rumble fallout you liked? Some NXT stuff, Edge and Killer Cross face-to-face last night? Anything you wanted to get into?
William Alcia just posted this graphic for next week. Come on, catch.
Is that
It's Omega and Kenta versus Moxley and Archer. Tag.
Oh, okay.
That's interesting. Yeah, I got some stuff. The Royal Rumble for one. So I was watching the main, and I had a feeling that going with Edge would be an option. I think I narrowed it down to two options, and Edge was one of them. And I thought it was really cool to see him come in at the number one spot. And from a worker's standpoint, knowing how the business works inside the ropes, so much respect and props to him from being in there from one until the end and working with everybody. If you watch this match, Edge was taking everything from everyone. Dude legit worked his ass off. And it's a redemption story that we don't get too often in wrestling. He had the title taken away from him because of a horrible circumstance. He said he's going to win the Rumble. He knows the sands of time, clock's ticking, and he does it. And now we're going to get to see him win Mania. That's such a good, feel-good story. I had to hear the different opinions on this. I just wanted to know how people felt about it. And it drove me a little crazy to hear how, a number of the fan base saying, way to give it to another part-timer, give these young guys a shot, blah, blah, blah. Like, I hear you on that to an extent, but we're not talking about Goldberg coming in and beating Dolph Ziggler in 30 seconds twice a year. We're talking about a guy who can work his ass off, who did work his ass off, who has a great story. Like, of everything going in WWE, what is a more feel-good, heartfelt story than Edge winning the Rumble and coming back from what he did? I don't think there is one.
But he's not. The next night they did something. I liked that because the next night he carried the show from in the opening and the main event with Orton. With that biz to do this epic thing. That's the thing. We're paying actual respect to the history of his career, and this is his Clint Eastwood years now. You know what I mean? Upper level, and I won money on him, and I won money on her winning too. I think it was the right choices up, definitely. And I couldn't believe that he worked his ass off the night after on Raw. So that's really where it cemented, like, fuck you, watch me lead and you guys follow when it comes to that. It's a better choice overall money wise, but he got heat on. He was dead serious in a feel good scene and grounded it until Sheamus did the show don't tell on Raw. So I think it was the right thing up. Get your stuff in MSG because I got a question for Sil.
Yeah, well, my question to you guys was Edge. He, obviously doesn't really. I'm not going to take the fans into consideration here because I really don't care whether they liked Respect or Edge is a part time or not. My question is about the locker room. I mean, let's just say there was participants in the locker room. Edge comes back and fucking goes out there and wrestles for almost an hour straight, walks back to the curtain. Everybody shuts the fuck up after that, right? Nobody's going to talk shit, right? I mean, at that point.
I don't know that like who's gonna talk shit on Edge regardless, dude. The guy's so respected. And really, if you're even if you
but there's probably somebody back there that's like, he's taking our spots. That's bullshit, bro. You see that? You see that, Daniel? They should have let you run it, bro. You've been here for so long. You earned it. They didn't even let you win the Royal Rumble.
Any real worker, that's Daniel Bryan knows him winning isn't going to increase.
Well, I know. I'm just saying there's going to be somebody back there that's going to be like that.
And you're probably, I get it, but you're going to get looked at as a mark at the end of the day. Whether you were in there for 20 seconds or you're in there for 20 minutes, payday's still going to be the fucking same. And not trying to shit on you, Matt, but like that's the fan way of looking at things. And guys would stir shit like that back in the day when guys were fighting to be on top. But I don't see Sheamus and fucking Cesaro and those guys like colluding to be like, dude, I can't believe they're putting him over against you instead of me. Da da da. You know what? I don't.
They might be.
I think when you hear Undertaker and Austin call people pussies now compared to how things used to be, That's what they're talking about too.
Right.
There's no BSK. There's no fucking none of that, bro. You know, like
so basically, you know, someone like, you know, you or people that you're training, if we went into that locker room, we'd be fucking ready and like, you ain't gonna fuck about, oh, you gonna play video games? You play video games. That's fine. You play video games.
You wouldn't, I say that, but then you get there and you're out of my touch or you're out of Rip's touch and fucking people join right in, man, and they blow it right out their ass, dude, when they should be staying on top, staying outside of the wrestling bubble a little bit. Once you get sucked in, you're wearing a pair of Nike Shocks and an Affliction shirt. Like whatever the fucking dress code is, you're going to jump to be part of the crew. So they warp people's minds, bro, from being grounded and knowing what the fuck to do to I'm over, don't fuck with me. And then they go, oh, you're over. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted to lure you in the whole time. And then they cut your throat. And then you're Lars Sullivan or you're whoever, right?
To answer your question, Matt, there's always going to be a degree of personal jealousy or, you know, competition between any professional. I don't think they're vocalizing it that much unless they have like a very small, trusted group of friends. Like if Hamin and I were on the roster and we were going to say something like that, we could say it to each other, but we wouldn't to somebody else that we don't trust.
Yeah, no.
And I think Edge knew this. I think there's a reason why you saw him make it a point to work the way he did and bump for everybody and feed for everybody because he knows that perception.
Yes, that's why he's a master. Okay, so he's already playing at a master level.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, it was great.
So he's feeding for everybody to make sure anybody who says anything that nobody's gonna be like, oh, Edge didn't sell for me because he's superstar. And like, dude, the fact that you're even in there and you're on the receiving end of a punch from that guy is giving you a shine. And if you don't know that and you're jealous, then you're a dumb fucker who shouldn't be at this level. Like everything should be when me going into the Royal Rumble. Yeah, I'm gonna do me, but I'm also gonna go. Our job is to make Edge look fucking awesome. And if that means me getting vicious heat on him right here, then and I get eliminated by somebody, him or somebody else, Christian, then that's what I got to do. But I want to make sure we're telling the best story for Edge. I am facilitating Edge's story. I'm not doing my story and he's doing his story plugged in. You know what I mean? And if your team doesn't have that focus where everybody's on there, then what the fuck are we doing out here? There's people who really think the Royal Rumble is real and they're in it. They think it's a real thing. They're like, not to say that there isn't one or two, but that's what we're talking about. You know what I mean? Yeah. Workers are we should know, okay, we got to get our moment over and we got to get the champ over and let's shine. So it's about the best show possible, you know. But it's good that they have you fooled to think that it's about everybody else. You know what I mean? That's what we want. That's what we want. My question here is Royal Rumble, I watched Goldberg and McIntyre, and I thought there was something going. I've checked the sheets and I haven't seen nothing. But after Goldberg and him do the ROH hug, Goldberg puts his hands on his knees like he's gassed, and you see McIntyre ask him he's all right, and he starts going up the ramp. He powders, and Mac's going to do his beauty shot, and you see McIntyre like looking up the ramp like on a shoot, not, you know what I mean? And they cut to Goldberg and he's like down on one knee or like bending over. Like I'm thinking there's something cardiac going on right here, or who knows what he smashed his head into before the match and he's going out right here, you know, from some type of brain injury, or I'm not sure. But then they cut back to Drew and he does the big B12 pose down. But I don't know. I didn't see anything on the sheets, man. But the way Drew was selling for it, and people were like, "Oh, he's just selling for Drew the beating." I go, he didn't sell the Claymore. Why would he sell now after the ROH handshake? Something I thought was wrong, and Drew's reaction was kind of putting that over to me. But I haven't seen shit on it. I don't know if you caught that.
I did. I noticed he was selling differently. Like you could say he's just selling someone's finish, which makes sense in what happened. But I don't think I've ever seen Goldberg sell in the entranceway like that. My take on it is, you know, he's an older man. He doesn't wrestle often. one of those bumps probably hurt. Maybe it was the tackle through the barricade or just any number of bumps that
adrenaline comes down, right? Adrenaline comes down, and
it looked to me like it could have been something rib based, or where he took a shot the wrong way, because it looked like he was kind of favoring his ribs. Could be the heart.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He was grabbing his heart out, like ribs could be, but I was like, maybe not, and it was Drew's cell that really had me concerned there. Stevie had the answer. If we weren't married to things on the fly, that was baby. Drew should have jumped down there, grabbed him, put his arm around him, and helped him to the back right there. Like again, we're married. Like, this is being in the wrestling bubble, being married to getting that shot in, instead of being like this. We're both babies right here. Let me go fucking really check on him, and it ain't gonna hurt the scene at all, not one bit. You know what I mean? As opposed to me helping you out, or something along those lines. So if you were having a heart attack, I'd probably come kick you or something. But that was it. There's tons of missed opportunities. I've talked about it on Russo brand, on Hamin Media on Monday. Ran down the spots. This was a good Royal Rumble. Could have been great. There was 8 to 10 key moments that just blew right by him, and it was foolish to let them go by.
I have a question in regards, now that the Royal Rumble is complete. Just something I've been catching up on some podcasts over the last couple of weeks, and I happened to catch an episode of the Nitty Gritty podcast, Billy Body, Vince Russo, which is on patreon.com/RussoTWC, where you can see Master Shoot Theater with Ben Hamin and Steve Richards. Yeah. But he brought up an interesting, I guess, either bit of backstage information or in news going around in regards to Big E. And that the WWE wants to get behind Big E. They want to push Big E as a star, but the only person right now standing in his way is Big E. The Big E, he was very, I guess, when the whole split up happened with the New Day, I guess those guys right now are kind of sulking back and forth as a team, because they're not traveling now. They're not on the road. They're not doing their shows together. So there's a little bit, I guess, of sulking there. And because of that fact, they want to push Big E, and they're trying to tell him, hey, we're doing this because we want to rocket you, right? We see you as the potential, because Bruce Pritchard is very keen on making sure that there's also inclusion, of course, and there's representation for Black champions, right? So because of that, though, because of Big E not wanting to get behind himself, that's why he got relegated down into the Intercontinental mid-card, I guess you might say, bracket, versus winning the Royal Rumble, which he was for a time being predicted as a potential winner going into this thing. What are your thoughts, before I let Ben unleash on it? Silvio, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, how does one maybe overcome that in the wrestling industry? You're traveling around with your friends, people maybe you're making a lot of money with, right? You built a brand with, and they've kind of taken it away from you, and you're kind of now going into these risky, uncharted territories for yourself.
Aside from the Edge finish, the only other finish that I could have seen gotten as much emotional response would have been Big E and putting him against Roman at Mania, and having Big E go over in that feel-good moment of the hard work and everyday man that worked his way up. As far as him being his own worst enemy, I can't speak to that. I know he's been a loyal company guy. Some of that kind of sounds a little bit like bullshit. It sounds like there could be some lies mixed in. Not that you're lying, but whoever's giving out this information. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. I could see them, of course, getting upset when you split up an act. Anybody would, especially if it's an overact. But if they tell you, hey, look, Silvio, Hamin, we're going to break you guys up because I want Silvio to be at the tippy top, I'm going to be upset that we broke our bond. But the reward for me, every person in the business wants to be at the tippy top of the card. Doesn't matter who you are. So I can't see Big E being like, nah, I don't want to go to the top of the card. That sounds very strange to me.
All right, now to flip it, Ben, is this a case of millennial mindset where you don't really care? He's coming in, he's making a good check. He doesn't care about being the champ or making more money. He just wants to have a good time at this point and be with his friends.
That could be it too, man. They want that eye of the tiger, and that means they want to test you. And here's the thing: if Big E's been there hella long enough and seen a lot of people rise and fall, and if he sees a test coming, he's going to sidestep it. And that's when things like what you said are they used as the excuse. He's his biggest enemy. What's that translate to me? He doesn't want to play the cutthroat game at the level we want him to play it to. He wants to be with his boys and not have to be a shitbag in order to deal with things to get the business done that he wants to, because they care more about guys fighting for their biz in that little circle than they do about doing what's right and what's best for their characters and bottom line. So when I hear that kind of like double talk excuse where it puts it back on them of, oh, they're sorry about that, dude. Of course they're not making as much money as they were. They were #1 merch sellers for 2-3 years on the road. What they were making in the ring wasn't shit compared to what they were making on t-shirts and stuff. If they're sad sack, it's because of that. And aside from that, the other two guys should be going to G4 and doing all their video game stuff regardless. They've got those guys are the only guys who really are doing it like I want to see the model done. I talked about this morning, if Stevie's back on Impact anytime, you're going to see him doing resistance bands. ODB showed up this week on Impact, and she had her food truck parked outside and the shirt on promoting her business. Wrestling facilitates the outside world of what you're doing. That's how we reconnect outside of it, not making fake things inside the bubble. So if anything, the G4 stuff should all be played into it if you wanted to be part of that. Anything where they shot down the video game, but we're not even acknowledging that kind of shit. So what's Big E supposed to do? That doesn't make sense. And I'm not saying it doesn't make sense to me, but there's not enough push behind him for him to go over on Roman's in a feel-good story without the whole New Day, because Roman's thing is a mob family. So you got to bump off Kofi, you got to bump off Xavier in order to get him elevated to do the final story of his triumph over the evil mob boss. But I don't see that happening, dude. So from square one to build him up isn't going to work. You got to keep him in the Intercontinental title and make him beloved for the next 18 months. That's all you can really do right now. And if he's in his own way, who gives a shit? The way they eliminated him sucked. And that further goes to show to me that it's because he won't play their game that they'll have the dude on the outside reach over and eliminate him in a way that's a comedy way, and then he has to sit there and sell it wide-eyed. You know what I mean? When he thought he was going over, he went from a top 2 guy of going over to that's how he got eliminated. Tell me what they're really doing over there. It ain't about it ain't about what that excuse is. That's very layered in WWE talk.
Last bit of information I thought was just funny regarding Big E, according to, of course, Billy Body there. He was saying that I guess Big E made a joke that one of the production members, the staff, and of course, like he made a joke to them, like he would make a joke to the boys. And the joke he said to them when they were going over the battle royal was, "Oh, Pritchard's got to get his black on black moment spot." But he said that to the boys, to the production people. Someone in the production took it serious, and that got telephoned back that like Big E was complaining about the battle royal when realistically he was making.
That wasn't here though, right? That was like a year ago or something, right? That
was from what I was hearing. This is like as of 3 weeks ago. This podcast he was saying this is what he was reporting.
I think that happened a while ago. I'm not sure on the.
Oh, okay. I mean, I just thought that was funny. What I was going to say is, if you're
in either way, Biggie ain't wrong. He definitely is right.
What I was going to say, as a production member, just shut the fuck up and shut the fuck up. Yeah. You don't need to fucking go be a rat. Come on, you're a production guy. That's not your job, man. That being said, let's get into AEW. Unless you've got anything else, Briz.
No, let's do it. Let's kick it off.
All right, let's rock and roll. So AEW, just to go over a little bit of numbers here. Last 5 weeks, of course. Last week it garnered 734,000, barely edging out NXT's, which drew 720. The prior week, which the week I was not here for, that got 854,000 views on January the 20th. And then, as I mentioned, 734 last week. And then the week before, 762. The total YouTube viewership last Wednesday, 1,305,000. That is down from 2.5 million. The most viewed video last week was the Bucks and the Good Brothers tagging for the first time. That got 245,000 views. And the least viewed was the "You Are Cordially Invited to the Wedding of the Year" video package. That got 40,000 views. Overall average was about 200,000 views. And we'll get right into the action. So they started off with the tag team match, a tag team battle royale. Before we get to that, though, I just thought it was interesting when it came to the Good Brothers. I watched Being the Elite this week, and apparently, I mean, I missed last week's Dynamite, and from what I hear, I missed one of the least performed best shows of AEW's production standpoint and storyline standpoint from all feedback I got from people. However, that being said, I guess that 8-man tag that they had last week, they had cut out some stuff, that they had edited down some stuff from the broadcast. I guess there was a couple scenes from Gallows and Anderson doing the crotch shot with the belt. And they also edited out a segment where they were mimicking smoking a J, like they were each taking a hit. And then they pass it to Matt. Matt goes, "Nah, I don't want that." And then like Anderson hits it and puts it out on one of the Dark Order's back. I think it was Uno, and then picks him up and power bombs him. So they edited that out. That's what they said.
Yeah, evidently Gallus was doing like a jacking off kind of motion, and they
exactly
that out.
So there's your Being the Elite update. There wasn't much else on Being the Elite. I was a little shocked that they were trying to pair Matt Hardy with Hangman Page, because I said I missed last week. So I was like, oh, that was new. But we'll get into that right now. As we have the tag team gauntlet. Now, the rules for this are as follows. If you're the champion and you win the Battle Royal gauntlet over the top rope, you get to choose who you face. And then obviously if you win it, then you become the number one contender. The Young Bucks did not win it. Spoiler alert. It came down to a couple different members here. We had one member from the Acclaimed, we had one member from Top Flight, and we had multiple members, that being MJF, Chris Jericho, and Sammy Guevara from the Inner Circle. Ultimately, it looks like here coming out of this is we're going to see a couple things like fractures here with more within the Inner Circle, as Sammy Guevara was inadvertently knocked out by Chris Jericho, unfortunately. So that eliminated the Sammy Hagar pair. Top Flight and Acclaim members did eliminate MJF, and then Jericho eventually picked up the victory. So for his team. So they are going to be facing, I guess it would be the Young Bucks at the next pay-per-view for the tag team championships. Private Party was in this match. They did some good stuff. I thought it was pretty good. I like what they were doing. But it was just a small fest of tag team action, with everybody running around the ring. Before we get to Ben, what do you think, Silvio?
I might open Bendora's box a little bit here, but
here we go. Bum, bum, bum.
To kick into it, we had the Bucks start with the dives to everyone on the floor. And then the Young Bucks kind of ran wild, I think, on 3 or 4 tag teams. So we had the Battle Royal match start, outside of the ring, which is very unconventional for a Battle Royal. I was surprised that Hager was eliminated second. They did it in a smart way, but I was surprised to see that. And then at one point I'm watching this when he's still in, and I'm like, man, why isn't Hager whipping everyone's ass? Why isn't Luchasaurus whipping everyone's ass? Then a few minutes later, we have the spot where Luchasaurus knew it was time, and then he just started whooping everyone's ass. So you could tell it was like, now it's my turn. So I'm watching this and some of these unconventional psychologies for a Battle Royal, and I'm like, is there something wrong with this? Is there something wrong with me? And at the end of the day, by the time it was done, though it had a lot of stuff that don't make sense in the traditional Battle Royal sense, I had to admit that it was more entertaining than most Battle Royals. I'm not a big Battle Royal guy. Rumbles I enjoy because we have that drama of who's going to come next and the spots, and there's not 20 guys in. Battle Royals kind of suck. So though they did these things that like my teachings told me you shouldn't do, it ended up being pretty entertaining. But I've noticed a shift, not just with that, and here's where you come in, Hamin, like the unconventionalness of that Battle Royal. Then we noticed on the Rumble on Sunday, guys weren't feeding like we were taught. When somebody comes out for the Rumble, everybody that's there feeds, and that guy gets his shine, kicks some ass. I think I noticed Ziggler when he came in, nobody fed.
Nobody.
So we are seeing kind of a fundamental change in the Rumble Battle Royal concept. Are you seeing the same thing, Hamin?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's the whole thing of putting it over too. It's the first guy in. He's fresh. Everybody else has been getting their ass kicked and handed to him. So, of course, he should be the most up guy and not just taking a shot and selling for people right out of the gate. I think this is a huge booking mistake. Why would you run a battle royal that looks just like a Royal Rumble after the Royal Rumble? You look like a Johnny Come Lately welfare version of it, especially when guys got to do spot monkey shit to get their stuff in. That's not really telling the story of a tag team, because even the winner of it is a tag team that gets over. MJF's out, and it's Jericho over with the roaring elbow on the kid off the apron. Like, okay, but that's MJF runs right in to be with him to be for the spotlight, but I don't know, it just didn't work like as like a standalone feature to have it right after the Royal Rumble, first thing on your show. Looks like we can do that too. See, we do stuff like not a good look.
Couple weird things I want to point out. First off, that spot where John Silver suplexes two guys, I get it, they're trying to put him over, but I was sitting there with somebody, I was watching with Joe, and he works out here in the area, and Joe was like, that was a weird spot. Like, why would you make him look that strong over the other two guys?
This is one of the things that's killing me. I mean, the guy works his ass off, but like, and JR put it over, and whether there's little kids watching or whatever, the Johnny Hungy stuff, dude, that's the shit that makes me go, I'm embarrassed to be in this business, dude.
It is a little cringeworthy.
I'm embarrassed to fucking be affiliated. Like that JR has to put that shit over. Like it's fucking stomach turning bad. No one relates to it. It's so fucking stupid. And the fact that Brody's gone now and you're not really carrying on a legacy where you have a chance to really make your group into something. The other dickhead who I don't give a shit about anymore either, who takes his mask off for fucking Instagram every day and pisses all over wrestling as far as I'm concerned. Those guys are a disgrace. And if I was Uno and Dos in Cabana, I'd want to be as far away from them as possible.
And then I have another question, Silvio, because you mentioned the Hager spot, and that triggered something that I was kind of surprised while watching it. Now, I don't really care how he was eliminated, whatnot. I just thought it was weird because right before he was eliminated, like, I don't know who he was fighting, they peeled over the top rope and they were like, laying there on the canvas apron outside area, right?
All I can think of is Hager's hurt and they protected him. That's the only way you would.
Well, I was going to say he willingly put himself in that spot, and the camera showed it. Like, it showed him like stepping over the rope and putting himself in that spot. And all I was thinking was like, why are you stepping over the rope? Like, why are you putting yourself there? Like, if it would have made more sense to me if he had gone through it, right? Because then if he had been knocked down, you could have brought him back later. Like, you guys had thought that he was still in the match or something. Like, I don't know. I just thought it was a weird spot for him to put himself in, like, logically. It's like, why would you do that, guy? You're in a battle royal.
I noticed that too. It's a little bit weird. My theory or possible theory on this, most of the brothers don't really care for battle royals, especially if you're already established. If like you're a young guy, like off of Dark, you see this as an opportunity to shine and impress. So you're ready to go. But most brothers are like, battle royal. So there's jokes in the locker room when there's a battle royal between top guys or guys that have been around a while. That's like, all right, which one of us can get eliminated quickest? I've been in battle royals myself where we're like, all right, let me get the fuck out of here. So Hager's been around the block for a long time. He's the
locker room winner. He's the locker room winner.
I could see Hager being like, nope, I'm good. I'll do my 4 minutes in this and get the fuck out of there. I'm not saying that's what it was, but that shit happens all the time. I've been guilty of it. I mean, I'm sure you probably have too.
Yeah, well, unfortunately with my shit, the 4 I've been in, I'm usually the final 4. 3 out of 4 of those I was, because terrorism's hot and them going over on me fucking makes them the baby face that much more. So rid myself into staying in the fucking thing by getting heat out the whole time. So, yeah, dude, it's super dangerous. The ones the worst ones are in Chicago when I've had to face these guys that were like walk-on practice players for the Bears, and they wrestle twice a year. They're monsters, bro. They're huge, and just smashing my face into the turnbuckle for real. I'm like, holy shit, bro. So it's never fun because you don't know who you're going to be in there with and what state of mind they're going to be in either. You know what I mean? You might be working one guy, hit you soft as a pillow, and then turn around and catch a baseball bat to the face pretty much from somebody else who's got to get their insecurity shit in with show off their new kick pads. So, like that's just the way the game's played out there. But believe me, you give it to me, you're going to get it back too. You're going to wish you didn't. You're going to wish you didn't do that.
Did you guys
put it this way, Maddie? For at least the last 10 years, I've declined any booking offers I've had for battle royals.
Gotcha. Props to you, sir. Did you guys go over? Maybe I missed it on the Friday locker room. I was editing the Tyler Rex story. Did you go over that this morning?
It just got sent to me, bro.
Okay.
What's up with Tyler Rex?
He's transitioned into a woman.
Is he? Really?
Yep. It says that WWE Superstar X wrestler Tyler Rex gender reveal from Gabe to Gabby, and it's all going to be airing exclusively on Extra on Friday, February 5th, 2021. So tune into your local listing for this exclusive story. So,
dude, I thought you were going to say it's airing on WWE Network. There you go.
There you go. So,
what's in her hand? An ace of
a card?
Ace of hearts.
Hey, that's one big broad.
Well, coming to AEW, Nyla Rose's tag team partner.
There you go.
I don't know. That'd be cool.
I thought they could have done something with Tyler Rex. Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, we did. Well, moving on. Let's start AEW. We continue on. I just wanted to bring that up because I got sent to us. I saw that in the chat room on our thread. So, yes, after the winners here, the tag team, MJF and Jericho, brand name champions, we get pissed off Sammy. He walks to the back and MJF and celebrate, and then show a vignette highlighting Jade Cargill. Fantastic package of Jade Cargill. I was like, whoa, this is awesome. Go back and watch this package. She looks amazing.
Yeah, she's strong. She looks like a hell of an athlete. Are they dropping the Cargill? Because I noticed just the Jade logo, and they only refer to her as Jade.
Maybe. People like Ben Hamin and Vince Russo didn't like saying her last name, so they were just like, "Fuck it, we're going with Jade." That's it. Because you know what it was. Vince Russo likes to make fun of last names. He probably started calling her like Golf Cart, Cargale, something like that.
He just can't remember her last name.
Yeah.
For shoot doesn't know. It's not that he tries. He tries to get words out. They just don't come.
Hey, why is it that women? It's less frequent now, but why is it that women wrestlers can get away with having first names? Imagine a wrestling world where they're like, and now from Louisville, Kentucky, Chris versus Matthew.
It's there. Silvio is a recognizable brand. Susio is a recognizable brand. Hamin is a recognizable brand. I'm not trying to
Ben Hamin. My name's Chris Silvio.
Yeah, but you can go Hamin, Silvio.
Those are our last names.
Yeah, they seem like under themselves, you know.
Like imagine a guy wrestling as John. This is John.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah,
I was trying to think if there was any male wrestlers, like if there really is. It's kind of hard to think.
Eric. There's no wrestler just called Eric. Like
there's Eric and Ivor. They took away their fucking.
That's true. That's true.
Oh, you're right on that. Poor guy.
There you go. All right. Well,
Eric, I stand correct. Oh, I wonder why that didn't work.
Walter.
Yeah, we do have Walter. That's a great one. So 2 examples.
Otis.
By the way, that's true. Otis, yeah. Want to point out, speaking of Otis, how about the missed opportunity there? They brought out Hurricane. Why didn't they bring out Scotty 2 Hottie? They could have done the worm together at the Royal Rumble. I don't know. That would have been something fun.
And he's in fucking ring shape too. When I saw him at the show, man, he's there.
Ripped.
Yeah, dude. Because because the people will remember how good wrestling used to be compared to how it is now. But you want to talk about ripped, like fucking they sent Lito out there and didn't have him do the apple spot. I mean, I can go into 100 things. Still, biggest miss on the show when they did Jillian Hall and Billy Kay together, cute, but they missed because 2 later they brought out iconic number 2. That's the moment, so it passes by. Then they bring down 24/7 gimmick. They've been putting all this build on Billy Kay. Billy Kay should have gone over, won it. All the girls hold down all the guys so she can escape with iconic number 1 together in tow, and she protects her. And now the 24/7 title is in the women's division. Instead, they did a 1-up with Foxy, 1 down, and now Rosenberg's got it. Dude, they miss so much. They just
R-Truth got it. Didn't he beat him back, or did
Rosenberg
Rosenberg
in a hotel room and some dumb shit?
Okay.
But they miss, so they just miss, they miss, and they miss. And I love Paradise so much, they miss, and I do not understand how.
This is why you drive yourself crazy. I can't even give credence to this conversation of how ridiculous it all turns out. We get this fucking Bugs Bunny spot in the middle of a Rumble match where the winner goes to WrestleMania. Billy Kay's giving out 8x10s. The fucking Rosenberg guy wins it. Like, I feel weird even having a serious conversation about this.
Johnny Hungy.
You gotta let that shit roll.
Johnny is
you know what would have been good? Like, the only thing that was missing was I wanted Jillian to come out. I wanted Jillian to come out and explain why she didn't have the tumor anymore. I got a vaccine. It's gone. Give me something. That would have been great. It would have been topical.
When
that was her gimmick.
She's getting like a big tumor or hump on her back.
That was her gimmick. Yeah, she had a deformity. Yeah, that was her gimmick.
She's a sweetheart of a woman.
She is awesome.
So is Victoria. Congrats to Victoria for
Victoria.
How about that? A year and a half, 2 years ago, she got kicked out of backstage and they wouldn't even let her. And now they're gonna. I mean, come on, man. What do we do? Why do we dance for these people?
It should have been right to censor Victoria, and then Stevie could have came out with her. That's what
we dance for ourselves around these parts.
That's right. All right, Tiny Dancer, what the fuck's next?
Hold me closer, because that's what Sting and Darby need to be doing, apparently, as Sting and Darby were next. And they come out, start to cut a promo, but Taz once again interrupts, cuts his little shtick, tells Darby that you may be fighting Joey Janela, but, we're not done with you. We're still coming for you. And then Sting rebuts that by telling him that that next week it will be a one-on-one match, and he's going to be out there to make sure that no shenanigans are pulled. So even though I didn't see it last week, so forgive me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me still that they really haven't explained why they're together. Did they explain that last week, Silvio?
Why? Who were together? Sorry, I was looking at my notes.
Sting and Darby?
Yes, because they're both hoodlums.
Okay, is that why they explained it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, okay. I must have missed that, because I mean, I know they've been putting together, but I didn't really get that clear. Like, we're together now, brother. We're friends. But,
well, they didn't cement their union, if that's what you're asking. But they
gotcha.
did this warehouse on location shot where
Sting
referred to Darby as a hoodlum, and Darby admitted to being a hoodlum, and Sting said, "Well, maybe I'm a hoodlum too," and then they smashed windows together.
Oh, okay. I'm so glad I wasn't here for Vin's rant last week on that. But that being said, what did you think of this, Silvia? Did you like the interaction here? More so, at least building, I guess, with the Janela. At least they're trying to build up his next match. Giving some of importance to that TNT Championship.
They're not trying to build up Janela. This is just a match for the sake of a match. Did Darby talk? I don't think Darby said anything during that whole
Sting.
It's all right. I'm excited to see the match just because I want to see what they do with it. And with it being a cinematic match, as it's been rumored to be, I think they could do some cool stuff. But as far as the segment itself, it was fine. TV segment.
I mean, the only thing I didn't like about Sting's promo was the end. And I know that Sting's supposed to be the babyface, but when at the end of the promo, and he goes, Ricky claims that I'm not an icon. And then he looks into the camera and he says, well, he should take a closer look. I wanted there to be some more of an umph. He didn't have to say a curse word, but I wanted it to be like, well, you should take a closer look, bitch. And drop, I wanted a little bit more yeah, but it was just like, you should take a closer look.
I mean, what if he would have said, take a friggin' look? Would that have, had he used frig, would that have made it a more powerful scene?
More powerful. Up. Vin's gone quiet here. This is how you know it's going to be good.
A complete embarrassment, bro. It's fucking embarrassing. It's terrible. All this is terrible.
Well, you should take a closer look, brother.
It sucks. It sucks as bad as it did in 95. It's the same shit that he couldn't get over then, and he won't get over now. And then the words that Taz and them are saying and Ricky Starks and them are saying aren't cool. They're not real. And fucking grown men are painting their face white and going out doing what? It's stupid. It's fucking stupid.
This is your northern bias coming out again.
It's trash, bro. It's trash.
I'm not even talking about the segment. I'll just and
everything. No, and you can go right into the fucking wedding segment. Trash, complete shit. Why would you have fucking Sinister Minister there because it's a rib off of AEW and he's wearing the same or off Impact? And it's all garbage, bro. It's embarrassing to even be affiliated with it when we could be playing at such a high level, and that these are grown men playing backyard pretend wrestling for an audience of 30 to 40 something year olds who want to live in a Funko Pop fucking universe. And it ruined the sport. I watched Hogan slam Andre on the Andre fucking doc the other day. The magic, the moment, the mystique, the larger than life. Now I got to watch a fucking guy who shouldn't even be serving me food at a restaurant. Like, he looks like a waiter, not a wrestler, doing a wedding scene. And then the girl who gets cake in the face doesn't even have time to do with a reaction of my wedding's ruined. It's all about Miro's comedy spot. And we
the waiter in this case.
We gotta waste our life on this shit. Do better.
Who's the waiter
out here, bro? And everyone's like, oh, they're with New Japan, they're with Impact, they're with this. So what? Everyone is doing a rib on wrestling. There is no Yokozuna, there is no larger than life figure. And when there are, they have them lose on the first pay-per-view. And they have them work 50-50. And they have guys doing dives and fucking shit they have no reason to do. They don't make an Ultimate Warrior out of Brian Cage. They have them lose to Tessa Blanchard straight up. It's fucking embarrassing to be affiliated with this and have to put over that, it's the new generation. And why do they put Edge over? Because all of them suck. Because they got to go on Twitter and talk about their husband putting chocolate-covered Oreos in the couch cushion for fucking likes. Because you're a luchador who should protect your face, but you got to post pictures on Instagram with your golden retriever. You're an embarrassment, and you should be fired. It sucks even to be affiliated with them, bro.
Who's the waiter that you were talking about somewhere during that tangent?
What, Jordan Grace? She puts out that, oh, my husband's so crazy. He just admitted to me that he hid Oreos. I opened the couch cushion there. It's full of Oreos.
Didn't they get squished?
Or is she a pathological lying woman who needs attention at any turn?
I don't know. I don't
know.
Well,
let's look at AOC and the fact that she was in a death-threatening experience with the Capitol building being overrun. Just so happens she wasn't in that building whatsoever, and her near-death experience was the guard that was coming to check on her and be her personal protection. But, delusions of grandeur, they don't exist in the Me Too movement and speaking out and now and all this, and these children who get to fucking run things, bro, when there's men all around them who have a better idea and better way to do things and better way to do business, but they just sit there and take a paycheck and watch them shit all over our art. And then the women in our own Battle Royal or Royal Rumble are doing shots backstage and getting it on video to put it out there online as well. And they say, I love this biz, respect this biz. I'm second, third generation. And I have to sit here and grow this beard out to fucking do what? To protect it for who? They're fucking embarrassments, bro.
Well, so, I mean,
how did we get it here, Maddie? What led us to this point?
I don't know, but if you'd like more information, go watch
with hoodlums, grown men painting their faces, right? And us having to sell for it. Like, this was good. This was good TV.
All right, I guess you're gonna tell me next you didn't like Orange Cassidy coming out of a cake.
Skip it. This whole
Maddie,
thing
take control back.
So I was just gonna say
this thing quick.
I was going to say, if you'd like more information on what Ben's talking about, you can watch South Park's episode of WTF. I think that probably explains how Ben Hamin sees the wrestling business right now. South Park did a great job on that episode. Anyway, that being said, let's move on to hopefully something that you guys can agree on that you liked was Dr. Britt Baker taking on Thunder Rosa, of course, with Rebel out there. I thought Rebel was fantastic in this match. Her facial expressions, everything she did from the distraction as well. Exposing the turnbuckle to set up the finish, and then Baker put her in the lockjaw, and she was just knocked out cold from the initial fall to the middle turnbuckle. There was also a couple of different things. There's a curb stomp attempt with the roll up and a crucifix from Baker. A couple of different backdrop driver arm bars. It was a good match. I liked it. I thought that Thunder Rosa was going to go over, so I was happy to see them put Britt Baker over. What'd you think, Briz?
I have a lot of good things to say about this match. I really enjoyed it. And you putting over Rebel, I definitely agree. Rebel may have taken MJF's spot as the best character in AEW. She's so fucking committed. Watch her face. Thunder Rosa has great facials, mind you. But if you rewatch this match, Rebel had the perfect reaction to every situation all night long. It does her role to perfection. And knowing her on a personal level is, there's a difference between the woman at home doing whatever she's doing right now and the one we saw on screen. So I got to put her over. The match itself was really good, especially the back end. I wasn't so fond of how they chose to start it, but once the match got going, it got better and better. They traded some good near falls. Thunder Rosa is so fucking good. And I think it's one of those matches where you put somebody with someone with more experience with the goal of them bringing you up a notch. And we don't always get that, but I think last night, we got Britt up a notch by having that match with Thunder Rosa and putting her over also. The one thing I could give Britt from this match is her selling. If I go back and watch through the match, there are a lot of moments where Britt was selling without motion. Like if she's on her feet and got hit, she would just kind of double over a little bit. No like kind of animation or anything that makes it entertaining to watch. As a heel, when you're selling, there's an entertainment factor to it. Your body has to be animated. Your face has to look just right, so the crowd's not bored. The heel dictates the pace of the match. There's a couple moments too on the ground when Britt's laying, flat selling, and she's just kind of motionless, not much facials. She has great facials, like when she does her lockjaw and things like that. So if Britt can tighten up those notches on the selling, it's going to put her opponent over more and make her matches even better. She's been a huge story of AEW, most improved easily year to year, and is a great character. I like the match, and with those few punch-ups, I think Britt could continue doing great work this year. I mean, what do you think of this match?
They worked their ass off. There was too many falsies. You can't bury 2 Death Valley drivers and shit like that. You got to take some stuff out of there. And this was about 2 minutes too long, but this is Britt doing the, strong wrestling style, which is for a character to do, you want to do character, and then have to do that once in a while. So I was kind of impressed that she was able to keep up. Thunder Rosa wearing the girl tights. We watch women's wrestling for the sex appeal, not because they're good wrestlers. And if they happen to be good wrestlers, that's a way added bonus. So this whole trend of wearing tights underneath your tights that look like skin, and then some girls can't even get close to the same skin tone shade. I'm down with Thunder Rosa showing her tattoos, and we're getting to see some real ass cheek. And then the fact that she can wrestle her ass off is phenomenal. She was really great in this, and here's what's happening. Serena raised the bar. So everybody has to be able to fucking try and do that as much as they could. Britt Baker did as much as she could of that. Mm-hmm. And there's a ways to go, obviously, but she did a good job for her first time out. And I got to put that over. Absolutely. Rebel, phenomenal too. Character-wise, I can't disagree, not even a little bit. I don't know if I like the spot though of like, she came in to do a misdirection and went to the turnbuckle just so we could do this other thing. Like, didn't need to be in there. There was other choices that we could have done. That's Tony Khan trying to write misdirection spots, and he doesn't know what he's doing. And because even on commentary, JR is like, I don't know what that was. Or what was that? Da, da, da. And then you can hear Tony justify it over the headset. And then like, oh, there's the answer to that. We figured that. Yeah, it was just to do this, that, or the other. So they're correcting his errors when these wrestling gurus see things that aren't right on the fly. They do the rib thing, he answers, and then they put it over. So there's a lot of things that could be tightened up to protect them, and shaving 2 to 3 minutes in spots like that off would help a lot. Thunder Rosa's the real deal, though. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, yeah.
After that, we had a tag match, as I mentioned at the top of the show last week. Matt Hardy approached Hangman Page about tagging with him this week because he's, of course, trying to lure him into Matt Hardy Enterprises. But he did get Hangman to agree to tag with him, as his logic was, I'm going to help you overcome your depression from your separation anxiety that he's feeling now from the Dark Order. Even so much so, on the latest Dark Order, Hangman Page showed up again to the Dark Order lair, and Anna kicked him out this time. So when Anna speaks, you know it's important. It's a big thing. So she kicked him out of the lair when they were having their little sleepover. That being said, we had a quick match here. Hangman Adam Page taking on the Chaos Project, Luther, Serpentico. Quick match. It started with Page and Hardy isolating Serpentico for a couple minutes. Luther finally tagged in, took control, clotheslines, back and forth, but it ended up being a Page setting up for buckshot lariat. Luther kicked him off the apron. Luther went for a cannonball, missed, which looked like a hard fall. And then Page hit the buckshot lariat on Serpento, whatever how you pronounce this name. I can't pronounce his name.
You hit it. You've done it right every time.
Serpentico.
Ooh, yeah, Serpentico.
Well, Page wins. That's the goal. That's the thing here. But the way he won, and it was because Matt Hardy did a quick blind tag in, got in, picked up the victory, and did a heel celebration afterwards, which was great. It was hilarious. I was watching with Joe. We were both like, that was great how Hardy did that. So I liked it. Chris, what do you think, homie?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. This was Dr. Luther's best outing we've seen in AEW. They kept his stuff compartmentalized and in his wheelhouse.
Yep.
And he looked like a perfectly capable pro wrestler in this. He's gotten some bad reviews, and, we've been honest about what we've seen. But it was a simple, easy tag match. Luther worked hard. He took that big bump. He did good. Serpentico did his job, flew all over the place for Hangman. And we're seeing where this is going. This is evolving into one of the sexier angles in AEW currently. It just pops me to no end how this angle revolves around dressing together, which Hangman pointed that out in the promo when Matt tries to get him to tag, and he's like, well, wait a minute. The agreement was just to dress. The agreement wasn't we're going to tag now. I'm just here to dress. And it's so funny that they keep using the term dress. Like, I'm here to dress.
Serpentico.
But yeah, it was funny at the end, their interaction, Matt trying to hug him and Hangman doing good. So I hope they push Hangman. Hangman's great. And big money Matt's doing a hell of a job too. It was weird when he came in doing a version of the broken thing, but I think he's back on track now.
Truth is the truth.
Matt's awesome, bro. What else is there to say? He can do whatever he wants, and I didn't expect him to wrestle tonight, so that was added bonus and good in the show, especially after things. I was like, the girls match in this made me pleased, and then we get to the terrible wedding, and then finally the main event.
Before we get there,
but Luther did. I agree, Luther. This was his best match, and I'm surprised he got the opportunity to do it. After two big let's not give this guy another shot. But, me being a fat bastard too, I go, Jesus, I'm in better shape than Luther and Owens. I can get on TV wearing a shirt.
Yeah. Is this part of a redemption story now for Luther? Now that he had that good match, he got it out the way?
No. I don't see a ton of money on him. Like, to me, what you got to do with them, if you're going to do anything, it's Mikey Whipwreck and Tajiri when they were weird together, that's all I see in them, to be honest. And there's a place for them that got over as shit. I used to love that stuff, but who's the super crazy that they go up against, who tags with whoever, and they do a year program together? That dude should be strictly AEW Dark, and there's value on him there.
I'd say either that or they're trying to get in the Dark Order and it's not working. And
Dark Order's dead in the water, bro. They're done.
They're not, though. They're still going to be on TV every week. I know they're
with any stakes or any ability to get over and where we're going. I thought that the Brody and what that might cement something, but after what I saw this week, everyone's just a mark for themselves, and people who really shouldn't even be on TV.
Well, I've been saying it for weeks that I had a feeling they were going to lean in the comedy direction with Dark Order, and seems like that's what we're doing.
And that'll be the shortest way out. That's going to be the best. Yeah.
Could be.
Well, Following that, we had a couple packages here. The first thing was they announced the Women's World Title Eliminator. It's going to be highlighted by women from both Japan and USA, as they've got Aja Kong. That's pretty cool. Yuka Sakazaki, Veni, Emi Sakura, Ryo Mizunumi, Mei Sugura, Rin Karukura, and Mikey Ito will represent Japan. I watch a lot of anime. Serena Deeb, Riho, Dr. Britt Baker.
Serpentico in there or no?
No,
What?
clearly not.
Serpentico. I don't watch Lucha Libre. I only watch Japanese anime. Sorry. And of course, from the USA, it's Deeb, Rio, Britt Baker, Tay Conti, Thunder Rosa, Nyla Rose, and Anna Jay, and of course, legit Layla. The winner of this tournament will become the #1 contender. They announced. Then they went to a package, I believe. It was either here or later, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about it just because it was so minimal. Was the Nyla Rose thing. Thought that was a little weird. I didn't mind the production value because she's supposed to be a monster, so I was okay with the graininess. I just thought it was weird that they put that on the show when later on we're going to see Vicky. So, like, there really was no explanation or connection there. I just thought maybe that little vignette shouldn't have been put on this show. Like, it was just a weird package. That's all.
What happened? I didn't see the vignette. I must have
very quick thing. She's like it's a cell phone thing, close up. We've got so much money or something like that, or I don't know. We're going places, and then it was like, or I'll talk to you next. I don't know. It was just very quick.
Maybe she won the lottery, like Nine Fingers Dewey.
She's posted pictures of herself on Instagram in bikinis saying, "I missed the beach."
Yeah.
I missed the beach.
Everyone wanted to be like Dewey won $1 million, but it was like I was like, he doesn't have to win $1 million. He can win only like 40 grand and blow it in a week. Like, oh yeah, we could do that.
But he's rich.
He's rich.
Yeah, that's
he's rich.
What I found weird about the whole women's segment is they announce all the Japanese wrestlers, fine, and then they're like Serena on the American side of the bracket, Riho. Like, Riho is Japanese. What?
She's in AEW, so I guess she counts as American now. From the Americans, I know it was a little confusing.
Yeah, they probably had to support. But I like. Here's the difference, though, and it's not just the way I tried to think about it. Maybe it's just me being biased, but the way that Shivani was billboarding everybody in his mind, Serena's good, and he grounded. He goes, Serena Deeb. Rio, everybody else who sucks has got to get a sound. But if you're over, Serena Deeb will be here. She's gonna fuck shit up. like that's pretty much of like doesn't need to be billboarded. You're over.
I mean, I just thought the biggest pop for me, though, was listening to Tony Schiavone pronounce his Japanese name. Not that he doesn't have the talent. He's a broadcaster, been doing it for decades. It just popped me hearing him having to pronounce it. I laughed at that. Well, after that, we got into a backstage segment as MJF and Jericho are trying to celebrate their win. Rest of the inner circle is a little bit annoyed, but Jericho says the other, losing, of course, was collateral damage. But Sammy asks, why are they always collateral damage? Says that Jericho always talks about them being in this together, but sometimes he's not so sure. And then he storms out. And then, of course, we get some more MJF dissent as the seeds that he's been planting. Tells Wardlow to kick the camera guy out. He's got something to talk about. Sounds like Sammy Guevara might be pushed out here shortly. Did you like that, Chris? Did you like this backstage segment?
Yeah, I like the layers and the slow build to the story. I'm not quite sure where it's going to end up. A lot of people are speculating that the whole thing's just MJF trying to take over the group. If that's the case, where does Jericho go? The more obvious, immediate thing would be, as you said, maybe they're trying to get Sammy out of the group. But it's interesting. It plants a seed and makes you think about it. So I think that's good booking.
Any thoughts, Ben, before we move on?
Just him storming out, it's not all for one. No honor amongst thieves, man. You got a group of heels. People are going to stab each other in the back for a power struggle. Welcome to it.
Welcome to wrestling. Welcome to professional wrestling.
Yeah, be careful what you wish for. Yeah, welcome to professional wrestling.
Well, then we went to Tony Schiavone as we get prepped here for the wedding of the century. As Tony Schiavone interviews Kip Sabian and Miro with Chuck Taylor backstage. And they make fun of Chuck. Vicky Guerrero walks up, tells Sabian it's time for the wedding. Vicky is walking Kip down the aisle. And we then cut before we go to commercial, they first show Father James Mitchell is the pastor, which that did pop me a little bit. I went, oh, that's kind of cool. AEW, little relationship. They let Minister of Pain come over. So he will be the minister, as I mentioned. Jerry Lynn walks Penelope Ford down the aisle. By God, she came down the aisle, and I was sitting there, and like I'm sitting there with somebody. He's like, "Oh wow, Jerry Lynn," and I'm like, "Who?" Like I'm not looking at Jerry Lynn right now because Penelope Ford walked down in what looked like I want to say a lingerie outfit for her bottom half, and very sexy, which is good. Sex sells. She came out looking like $1 million, and for this wedding scene. So Ford's, they let Kip Sabian do his I don't know. I've never been married. What do you say at the altar? You do
your vows.
Your vows. Okay. He starts to do his vows, and then Penelope starts to do hers, and Kip cuts her off. No, it's fine. They don't need to know how much you love me, but he cuts her off in the words like right when she's about to say something after big. You're a big. No. That's fine. They don't need to know about my love for you. So that was funny. Good placement there. And the wedding continued on. They exchanged the rings. Now Miro stopped Mitchell from asking if anyone objects, says, "Hey, man, I've been here a couple times, or I've done this. We're not doing that tonight." Little call back to his days in WWE, of course. The kiss, Miro gives a toast afterwards now. So now they're doing the post-wedding reception thing. So, cool. I was like, oh, wow, they actually let them get married. We haven't really had a ceremony actually like go all the way through since like Macho and Liz, right? So they actually got married. Not something that interrupted it. So we get through that. Now we're in the post ceremony, and they're talking about gifts. And it's mentioned that Chuck got Miro or got them a big gift. So Miro freaks out, sees this big gift, attacks it, throws it outside the ring. Says, "I've been here before. Go outside and clean that up." So Chuck gets outside the ring as Miro continues on about how much his knowledge, his vicious, his power is his gift to Kip. He ends up getting handcuffed by the foot, as when Chuck rolled out of the ring, he cuffed him. And now as I was watching this, my buddy Joe, we kept saying Cassie's got to come out somewhere. So I was like, dude, he's coming out of that cake. Like it's there in the background. That's where he's coming out. Well, because of the handcuff, Chuck Taylor was able to attack Miro and Kip Sabian. She got dunked into the cake. Penelope Ford, as Ben points out, we did not get a Laurel Van Ness moment from Penelope Ford with her screaming, which that should have been what we should have gotten that. She didn't watch the Laurel Van Ness tape. But then Cassidy popped out of the cake, and he attacked as well. And they attacked everybody and beat them down. Orange Cassidy and Chuck were left there with OC hitting the beach break on Sabian. So there you go. That's how that segment ended. Before Ben goes into further detail, what did you think, objectively speaking, Chris? How did you think this played out? Were you okay with it? Maybe what were some things that could have been improved in this segment?
This is going to be kind of controversial.
Oh, here we go.
I have to admit, I didn't really mind it.
Oh boy.
And it was way better than I expected it to be. Perhaps I'd set my expectations so low that as long as it happened, I was going to be okay with it. It was one of those things, like Jenna likes watching Lifetime movies and like these shows that I traditionally wouldn't watch. We have many of the same viewing shows, but sometimes I'll walk in and something will be happening that's so crazy, thank you, Hamin, that it just keeps my eye. And I end up watching this Lifetime movie about the murderer down the street just to figure out what happens at the end. So it was kind of like that for me. I just wanted to see where it was going. And I got to admit, goddammit, they kept my fucking attention. I somehow don't have your perceptive powers, Maddie. So I didn't factor Orange Cassidy coming out of the cake. He did. And that stuff was fine. I thought Rusev butchering a lot of English stuff was pretty funny. But it was all right.
I did like that he took over and said, "This is my wedding. This is my wedding."
Yeah. So some of that was funny. Only thing that I don't like about this whole thing is that we didn't get anything done with Chuck and Miro, unless they did it on BTE and I missed it. We didn't get one thing of Chuck as a butler other than dressing as him. The wedding was
underutilized.
Fun. Unfortunately, the angle that I was really looking forward to, Chuck as Miro's butler, didn't happen.
Wasted opportunity, as Ben likes to say here. But Ben, what did you think of this segment, sir?
Predictable, sucks, overacted, underacted. an embarrassment to even really be doing this shit on TV, a waste of TNT's money. Nobody got over. It'll be another meaningless thing that is just a piece of crap, not wrestle crap, just like, ugh.
Did you watch it bell to bell?
Watched it
Or
twice.
chime to chime, or whatever wedding would be?
I watched it from Father James Mitchell coming into the ring, not being introduced as a special guest, crossover from Impact, so they fucked the billboard on that, where JR and Shivani had to do a joke on it just to try and half-ass get it over. The timing was off until Miro fucking took over. Kip Sabian's not over at all. Her acting and reaction, none of the focus was even on the bride, except for during the entrance when she went by way too quickly. So all the focus was misplaced.
It kind of seemed like Kip was the bride. More so than Penelope. And he was the one saying, "You ruined my wedding." Generally, that's the thing like the bride would say when you ruined my special day.
How's that going over? How did that go over? Why would you play against archetypes of what people know when you've already got an uphill battle in a shit comedy scene like this that you're not going to do anything new that's predictable and you're just waiting for the fucking waka waka for him to pop out of the cake? Like,
all right, I got two questions for you. Number one, did it keep your attention?
Not really, dude. I just kept looking at that dude and going, this guy's a wrestler.
And number two,
what a wrestler is in 2021, this guy. Okay.
And number two, for a wedding segment in wrestling, which I'm sure you've seen, was it pretty much what you would expect from a segment like that?
I thought they botched it right out of the gate with Sinister Minister. We're fucked. He's the most over guy in the seg right now because he's wearing the same things that he wore on Impact. People know he's a Satanist, so now you have a Satanist minister doing that, and you're not pointing it out as any type of rib, just knowing that Don Callis made it happen and probably was his 2 cents to put it in there as some wrestle crap. The whole thing's blown. Like, because before we even started, that happened. I'm just going, these are just marks marking out for themselves. Embarrassed to be affiliated with it.
Was it better or worse than Billy and Chuck's wedding?
Worse.
Ooh, wow.
Billy and Chuck's wedding did what? Go back, check the numbers. Billy and Chuck's almost gay wedding did compared to that last night.
Probably did like 4 or 5 million views.
Oh, probably, you know.
The only question I have is, why did, as much wrestling as I've seen and how well, for the most part, I understand wrestling, I don't know why I was interested in that segment from start to finish. Like, I'm not saying it was great, but I didn't look away. I wanted to see what the fuck happened. How about you, Maddie? You're a little bit more moderate as far as this podcast goes. Were you entertained by this? Did it keep your attention?
I mean, there was I honestly, it kept my attention. We watched it live, so we were intrigued. But we were more intrigued where, I guess, because I was hanging out with somebody who, like I said, he's a promoter and he works with wrestlers and all that's his job. So I was kind of sitting and watching it with him. So we were more like, where's Orange Cassidy? That was our whole thing. Like, where's he going to pop out of? So maybe I was more too focused on that to look at the finer details of being like whether this was a bad or good wedding. I do think there should have been more reaction on Penelope. Like, there should have been her screaming or something, like being upset that her wedding was ruined, not just like a little glamour shot of afterwards of her sad. Like, your whole wedding just got ruined. Like, I mean, I know she kind of tried to attack, but like still.
That's them in the backyard playing wrestling, not being wrestling, playing wrestling. And that is what we have on TV right at this point.
Why didn't she get to talk? It sounded like she almost might have been breaking up with Kip for a minute. That's the vibe I was getting. She's like, Kip, I love you. You're a great guy. And it sounded like she was about to say, but. So I was expecting.
You were hanging on every word of this fucking gripping scene.
Well, I got big. I got big is what he cut her off on the word big. I thought it was the joke. Like, oh, you got a big schlong, or like just what she was gonna say. And that's why he was like, oh, they don't need to know about your love for me. Like, that's what I got. That was the joke.
But then she didn't even finish.
She didn't. He cut her off. Yeah, that was it.
Typical Sabian. Doesn't let her finish.
Doesn't let her finish. Oh, that was double. That was nasty. So Ben Hamin thought this segment was nasty. Chris wasn't entertained, and I was somewhat entertained as well. So let's intrigued. Let's move on to the next part of the show here, as we've got a commercial break, and then afterwards we come back with a video with a crossover of Shaq yo, Cupcake Cody, I'm going to get you in the ring and I'm going to hit you with the Black Tornado. So Shaq has decided that he's going to fight Cody, and it's going to be him and Jade taking on Cody. And I like how he also called her Red Velvet Pumpkin Cupcake or whatever. So I thought it was, pumpkin spice. It was a good little Shaq segment. He got up, hit the little divider, and messed with Ernie on TNT. I didn't see it. Obviously,
he went at Charles too. They cut that part, and Barkley's like, "No COVID distance, man." He got this shit in. Yeah, this is the Shaq on the NBA set is the most entertaining thing in wrestling. That should tell you how bad your show sucks shit through a straw. So here's the big thing, though. Shaq, 33rd degree Mason. Fight's going down on 3-3. More crossover, absolutely by design.
I mean, this is the Thursday afternoon program. This is the
well, you know what?
Go look up Shaq's Freemason. Put in Shaquille O'Neal Freemason on YouTube and see the clip that comes up when they ask him about the ring and shit, dude.
I'm good. I suspended my own social media.
You want to go even? You want to get even weirder and think you want to go even further? Okay. Shaq's birthday, March 6th. My birthday, March 7th. I turned 33 this year.
Shaq is sweating you. But he is the Prince Hall Freemason, 33rd degree, and he's fighting on 3-3.
There you go. Who knows what's going to happen? Well, after that, we got the Lumberjack match between the Mad King Eddie Kingston versus the Murder Hawk Monster Lance Archer. Now, my buddy Joe actually said this. He thought this was his favorite match of the night. He liked how Lance Archer and Kingston worked in the ring. My criticism was the Lumberjack people on the outside. Sometimes there was one point I saw Brian Pillman and somebody else, and I was like, you guys don't even look like you're throwing punches right now. Can you at least look like you're throwing a punch? It looked very playful, or like they were doing like the fake little kicky thing. It just looked too unreal there. Also, interesting that Jake the Snake got his shit in here. I'm just going to take you out myself, asshole. So he took out that one guy on the outside.
Jack Evans,
Helico. So, yeah, Jake the Snake.
No, keep going, but then it got buried and was an embarrassment. So he throws the line, trips on the mat, which we've all done, falls down on him, as awkward as an old man. 280 pounds could fall on your arm and bust it, and then he rolls over on the dude he just fucking clothesline and pats him on the chest. Yeah, sorry about that, brother. Like we're on a house show, cameras on him the whole time.
Yeah,
I was waiting for him to cut to Mike Tyson yawning in the corner and then cut back to some other fucking botch, bro.
I thought he was hurt. Like when he was laying on the ground after that fall. I was like, fuck,
he was hurt. Jake, fall on your arm, bro. All that.
No, was pointed out.
Of course, Jake's hurt. He just fell down with all that weight on him, bro.
That was pointed out to me. I was like, Jake's going, good job there, kid. Sorry about falling on you.
Taps him on the chest. Gives him a good brother check while the camera's on him. Oh, okay. Elite.
Well,
B-E, elite. D,
ultimately,
elite.
The Murder Hawk Monster Lance Archer picks up the victory here with the Blackout, which is the crucifix over the top power bomb. And he picks up the victory here. What did you think? Did you like this match as far as how they work together, Silvio?
All right. I'm going to have to step into Hamin's shoes for a minute for this one. No, I did not like this match. I really like Eddie Kingston. I really like Lance Archer. And I liked the match that they had last week that Hamin and I reviewed. A hard-hitting match with two tough men.
See that one.
Here's where I start to get a little angry. Imagine, if you will, young Matthew and our listeners, imagine we have a ladder match. Build Silvio versus Hamin in a ladder match. And the entire match, we don't use the ladder once to hit each other or to climb it. Instead, we use some other object that knocks the belt off and I catch it. You as the viewer are like, I thought this was a ladder match, but they didn't use the ladder. AEW has done this. AEW has done this now twice with their Lumberjack matches. But yesterday's was so gratuitous through no fault of Eddie or Archer.
Right.
The purpose of a Lumberjack match, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, it's a match that's becoming archaic. Two men have a rivalry. One guy keeps running from the other. He's getting counted out. He's ducking and dodging. He's not trying to be in a situation where he has to fight him one-on-one, similar to a cage match where it's all them. So you have objective heels and baby faces outside of the ring. So the second somebody goes to the floor, they throw them back in. The story usually goes the heel tries to powder a couple times, gets thrown back in, reacts to it. Bada bing, bada boom, you work the match accordingly. They don't do that in AEW. Instead, in this match, we had everybody start fighting again, just like they did the first one, to set up a big dive from Archer. There are a few moments where one of the participants in the match is standing on the mat, on the ground. Nobody's even attempting to touch them or throw them into the ring. It literally has no psychology. Like some of the other ones I can say, okay, well, they're modernizing it a little bit, or I could see what they're trying to do. Like this one, there was no reason for it to be a lumberjack match. I didn't even know it was happening until they told me. And I watched the show last week. Why are they having this lumberjack match? Why are the Lumberjacks not doing anything? Why are they allowed to fight all over? And then at the end, the Lumberjacks start fighting inside of the ring to cause a distraction finish for giant Lance Archer, who doesn't need anyone's help doing anything. We have Bunny run in the ring and do a choke. Like this to me was like
bury the fuck out of the ref just to get those guys to set up the table to do the rhino spot. This was rotten.
This to me was like somebody that doesn't know like what a lumberjack match is and just called it that. Like with all the smart people back there, I'm surprised that this was able to go off the way it was. And I don't think Eddie and Archer were happy about it. No fault to them.
Somebody telling this guy no, bro, and saying you don't understand what the purpose is. And let me sit you down and tell you how a lumberjack match needs to be booked, buddy.
And and we don't even know if, like, I know you're referencing Khan. I don't know who booked this. It could have been Tony, but there's also, other EVPs that work there. And a guy like Cody has a good grasp of psychology. Fucking Dustin works there. Omega's a fantastic worker. I'm sure Omega knows how to work a lumberjack match. I'm sure the Bucks grew up watching the same shit I did. I'm sure they know how to work it. So why don't we get that on TV?
Why wouldn't they?
I have no answer to it.
There's only about one answer to it.
I felt about this segment probably how you did about the wedding segment. Like I wasn't offended by the
terrible, bro. The run-ins, the burial of the ref to get these two other guys, Big Bear and whatever the other dude's name, they look impressive as shit, but this ain't their time to come in on something like that. Why is Billy Gunn doing a jump up? Why is Billy Gunn hot about things? It just is all right, because that's where this guy doesn't know what he's doing booking wise. And he says, we need to jump up here because I want to feature these guys in here. And I want to do that. And it doesn't make any sense. And guys who are 30-year vets are going, okay, as long as the check clears, we know this shit's not going to last. Well, it would last if somebody would speak up and stop these asinine mistakes. But the workers are working this guy fully, and nobody's big brothering them and pumping the brakes when they need to. So we get these spots where now your ref's buried, your match is buried, the business is buried, and the finish don't mean shit. And Jake Roberts is laying on the fucking ground, tapping people on the chest. Like that's all I took away from this. I don't even know what the biz out of it was. Because later, Murder Hawk comes out in the main to set up this tag match. So his business that was the big schmaz is all confused.
I just think gimmick matches are going awry pretty often in pro wrestling, and I'm a lot more positive on it. I mean, you're more doomsday. Everything sucks. It's gonna fucking all explode. I'm a bit more optimistic, but there are a lot of problems just across the board everywhere with why we have gimmick matches. There's a reason for it. There's a reason that we got in this scenario, and we don't always have that explained on any wrestling television show, let alone the payoff that should accompany that match. Like you can't just have a match like that to have it. Just make it a singles match. Like there has to be a reason for things. You
opened with a big welfare Royal Rumble and the tag team battle royal you want to. Now we've got another match where everybody's at ringside. And the other part of that too, I'm looking and going, just counting the guys who are taking bites off of Khan. Everybody who's at ringside is getting a paycheck from them. That right alone is way too deep of a roster because you've got a whole locker room full of your performers who are also getting a paycheck from them. And you've got maybe 500 people in the crowd spread out. So they're really not making any money there for cost of even having security and the lights on in the place, hemorrhaging money. And then you're doing the wrong business, not understanding gimmick matches, wasting time on wedding stuff where the real id was making Chucky P and Miro have, comedy segments like it's the Toy 1983. Like
Great
that
movie, by the way.
Yeah, that's the shit we needed, right? To steal from. Well, I got to sit over here and have my intelligence insulted, only to get to a match where guys have unbelievable athleticism and still can't put their own moves together. It's like having a kid who could freaking ski in the Olympics, but he can't tie his own shoes. It's unreal.
Matt, was it right after this match that they started announcing the upcoming matches for next week? Where they talked about that Lee Johnson Cody match?
That wasn't. I think there was. They did the. Which I was going to go into next was the FTR, and then during the next segment, right before the main event with the Joey Janela thing, they go over that after they go over Joey Janela's promo to hype up his match. Before I got there, though, I did want to point out something I like here. Jared Canatori in the chat room said, Ben, we all know it's fake snow, but why are they showing the snowmaker on like TV? And I agree 100%. Every time I see that every week, I've been like, why aren't you crash zooming in? Like, I don't understand. Why are you showing me the snowmaker? Like,
because you have production people who aren't good. You have other people who are just mailing it in. If I was a production guy or a camera guy, I would, if we did it one time, I would make sure in our meeting that never happened again. Guys, we got to really, whether we got to put a box around it so they can't see it or what have you, we need to be better. And we're not in pushing ourselves. We're just thinking we're over. We got to deal with New Japan, AAA, and Impact, you guys. Can't hide the snowmaker.
Okay. Well, we got a backstage promo with FTR and Tully, and they were upset about being pulled from the tag team battle royal because of what they did.
Rugged too. Here we got Tully Blanchard doing recount the business, and then this week they did that, and then they tried to do this. Then I was handcuffed to the dinosaur. The fact that Tully Blanchard is saying I was handcuffed to the dinosaur. Look at how low level you've taken the Four Horsemen and put them on this. Then we go right into cons. You can't kidnap wrestlers except for on our show where we're now kidnapping people and having them tied to a chair as Marco Stunt's there as a hostage situation. Did the SWAT team, once this was on TV, did anybody call for the police to go help Marco Stunt from being kidnapped by 3 other men?
Why can't you kidnap wrestlers?
Oh, that's what Tony Khan said. Thought that was a ridiculous thing in storyline.
When did this happen? Did he say
about 6 months ago? You can't kidnap wrestlers. That's stupid.
It was with the Big Swole and Britt Baker storyline when they were doing that. And I think that Big Swole kidnapped somebody, or she was trying to kidnap somebody, and Tony Khan was like, you can't kidnap wrestlers. And she got suspended and she wasn't allowed into the building after that for that week.
Meanwhile, kidnapping is one of the best angles in the Ben Hamin catalog to do, and I can do it many different ways. But again, we've got a 1-year-old trying to graduate high school right here.
Well, to finish up this backstage vignette, Tully ended up saying that everyone is scared of FTR and that what they're going to do. He says all they want is a title shot. Asks what it will take. Dax says that they aren't the bad guys, but sometimes they have to ask themselves, what would bad men do? And they pulled Marco Stunt into frame, who is tied to the chair, yelling, and it ends with Tully standing.
What would Bad Bunny do? I mean, that's the real question. What would Bad Bunny do here?
Silvio, did you get this? Did you pick up like an 80s promo vibe from this?
I like the content of the promo. I like what Tully said. I like what Dax said. This is a good promo. Tully, I like seeing Tully be able to deliver his, emotional, heartfelt, like he had some piss and vinegar through him. I didn't expect the Marco part. I was all right with it. I don't see anything wrong with them holding him captive for now. It did get a little bit sexy at the end, as my better half pointed out when we were watching. Like Tully was pretty close with Marco, and by being somebody who's been in a locker room with Tully and seen Tully in the nude, unfortunately, not by choice. Tully's all right with sexiness, I guess. So
Mike Roche points something out, who's also a patreon.com/Stevie Ray TV subscriber. A Ministry of Darkness was multiple kidnapping angles, and that drew huge raise. And you're right. With the reveal when we found out, it was me, Austin, it was me. Oh, that's an epic moment in the kidnapping.
Triple H drugged Stephanie, kidnapped her, and married her.
That's right.
Still married. It worked.
Stole it from Test. Bastard.
Yep.
Bastard.
It worked.
Rest in peace, Test.
The McMahon-Helmsley era began.
So after that, we go to Joey Janela. He cuts a promo. He's backstage. I like this setting. I was more enamored with the actual setting rather than the content of Joey's promo. I was like, wow, really good visual setting. You guys, the cones are in the background. Used a really nice blur focus. I was like, great setup. But yeah, Joey Janela cuts a promo that he's going to win the title next week. That was just kind of his promo. So stakes have never been higher.
Joey did fine. He cut a good promo. It just goes back to what we've talked about many times on this show. You got to have underneath guys win sometimes. Otherwise, no one's going to believe this stuff. Joey has lost every single match he's had on Dynamite in my recollection. He might have won one, but I can't remember a single, especially singles match. I can't remember one instance where Joey was victorious. So what's going to lead us now to believe that he's victorious over Darby? And how did he get the shot at this belt? I could understand if they had some kind of confrontation, and then Darby was like, all right, you want some? Come get some. I'll put the belt against you. I don't give a fuck. I'm Darby Allin. I'll jump off a building. So will you. Like some kind of build. I have a feeling they're just going to do what happens to Joey all the time. He's going to come in. He's going to get beat. And then,
See, for this seems like maybe not in the context of using it for the main event title picture, but this seems like it would be perfect for that rankings. Like, okay, this person would be next up and they're going to fight Darby Allin, right? At least they'd have some sort of context of why they're fighting. But the TNT championship, even though they're not really sticking to rankings anymore, that was the one that didn't even make rankings for in general. So, but yeah, to your point, it was just weird. They just kind of threw Janela in there with no reason. And I mean, I haven't been watching Dark. I know that they've done a lot of matches on Dark. I think I watched it a couple weeks ago just to watch that Brandon Cutler Luchasaurus match, but that was about it. So I don't know. Maybe that's how he got the title shot somehow.
Maybe.
If you guys are in the chat room, let us know if we missed something on Dark. How did Joey Janela get the championship?
Could have got him a shine instead of letting him put himself over. Bret Hart would have a tune-up match before every big match on a pay-per-view. This should have been Sting saying, you need to make sure you're ready, and we gotta stay game here. I'm gonna go find you an opponent. Stinger goes out on the hunt, finds him. Janela takes the match. Next week, it's that it's
right.
But we're too green. They're too stupid.
All right. Well, after that, then right after this, Silvio, that's when we got kind of the advertisements for all the matches that were coming up next week. Cody and Lee Johnson taking on, I don't know who was this, Jade Cargill and somebody. Is that who they're fighting next week?
No.
Oh,
no, I can't remember, but it was a odd pairing. It seemed
Velvet and somebody. I don't know. Like
maybe it was you're combining two matches. It might be Chaos Theory.
There you go.
Cody against Chaos Theory.
Maybe that's what it is.
Fuck is Chaos Theory?
That's Luther and Serpentico. Did I get that right this time? Serpentico.
Good job.
Serpentico.
Good job.
I like that. That was Serpentico.
And,
Go ahead.
Didn't they announce Jericho in a match as well there?
Oh, MJF and Jericho versus is it The Acclaimed? I think that's who it is, or Private Party, one of those two. Like it was like to get vengeance for last week's how MJF got thrown out, I think is what they're doing.
I just remember
it's The Acclaimed. I think it's The Acclaimed because I remember them coming out and I remember them saying, I think these guys are gonna win. And then they didn't, and then I think they'll put him in a match next week.
I just remember you guys heard how I felt about the Lumberjack match. I just remember directly after that feeling like they announced these matches, like the Cody and Lee Johnson one against Chaos Theory, and I got a little scared for a moment. I was like, "What? What's going on here?" Like they had that Lumberjack match, and then they're announcing these matches that on paper didn't seem too grand. Then we thankfully got to the main event, and I thought the main event really saved the show and tied everything back together. Between the women's match and the main, they kept this shit grounded and turned it into a successful show that could have went off the rails quick.
Before we get into the main event, too, something I want to point out because it ties into this was the conclusion of how the Bucks were, or how, what was it, Matt Jackson got eliminated, or now Nick Jackson got eliminated. I thought it was interesting that they pulled the member, I think it was the private party member, the last guy, they pulled him out of the ring. And then Matt Jackson got tossed over right in front of him, and they didn't even try to save him. I was like, man, you could have at least played into it and tried to save your boy. But that's where we are now with the Good Brothers. So we go into the main event. We've got the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega teamed up here. And I don't know if they debuted this last week, but it was new to me. Did the Good Brothers get their own song, or is this an elite song? Like, is this like a conglomerated song?
I don't know what it is, but it sounded kind of cool. It kind of sounded like Iron Man almost.
Yeah, it was a new song. I know I heard. And we were, I mean, because I know that it had to be some sort of combination because I saw Kenny Omega pictures, but then we also heard the phrase Good Brothers. So I was like, maybe this is their stable song. But the trios match, they were taking on Jon Moxley, Pac, and Rey Fenix. And, they decided to hang out with the cool kid, Mox, this time. They came out with him by the actual door instead of coming out to the stage. So they had their 3-on-3 match. As you guys talked about it on the early on, there was a lot of high-flying action here from Pentaco. Man, I'm watching this match, and I was like, dude, this guy has the smoothest roundhouse kick I've ever seen, and he does it like on the dime. It's ridiculous. With Phoenix, I'm sorry. So, but eventually
Big Luke's Phoenix hit some fucking dope kicks, but Luke had a sweet snap kick too, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But the winners of this match was Omega and the Good Brothers. Gallows tagged in the Good Brothers, hit the Magic Killer and V-Trigger on Pac as he tried to break it up, and they got the pin. So the winner of this match was the Good Brothers. Afterwards, they started to beat down Phoenix and Moxley some more. Archer hit the ring to try and break it up. Moxley was standing over Omega, but before he could attack, a masked man that hit the ring. Guy took his mask off, revealed it to be Kenta, who was wearing a shirt that said "Go to Sleep Club." Kenta then hit the go to sleep on Moxley, aka the whatever CM Punk's finisher was too. Excalibur reminded us that Kenta is the number one contender for the IWGP US Championship, which they are set to, I believe, fight either next month in the United States or in Japan. And then that's how we kind of went off the air. So first off, bravo to Tama Tonga and the Bullet Club. I got swerved. I really thought they weren't. The Bullet Club was not working with the Elite. So either they came to something, they really weren't working together, and they're working now. Either way, I got swerved. Bravo. I thought they weren't working together. Clearly, they are. And we're going to end up seeing Bullet Club on AEW here at some point. But what did you think, Briz Chris, of this conclusion? You said it saved the show. Put it over, sir. Tell us why.
I loved it. The match was a spectacle of athleticism and cool modern pro wrestling stuff. Pac and Phoenix worked so well together. Like they almost worked as well as Ray does with his own brother. Like they were very in sync. Their shit looked really good. Omega's a fantastic worker, but I think what really made this was the Bullet Club or the Good Brothers having a standout performance. If people aren't too familiar, because we didn't get to see it in WWE, Carl Anderson's a world-class worker. Dude could legit work. He can bump. He can do moves. He's got great timing. And Gallows hasn't always been known as like a worker. Like he's been known as a big man and a guy who's funny. But those two busted their ass last night, and they did such a good job of keeping the pace of this match going, making the opponents look good, and making themselves look good. This looked like a well-oiled main event tag team of the Good Brothers and Omega. It was a really, really good mixture. And they were fucking working hard. Hamin pointed out Gallows with the snap kick. Gallows took some bumps at the right time. Just made everybody look good. Phoenix is a madman. Some of the things he's doing are unfathomable. And that dive he does where he winds up in the guardrail every time, he keeps doing it. Like, it's insane. It's a spectacle.
He's legit a real life video game character. Like if you created a video game character, it would be Phoenix. It's ridiculous.
He is nuts. And sometimes I'll complain about how they always do double business at the end of segments recently, but I like the kind of business because it was an exciting scene from an exciting match. And then we have a who is this? So we don't know who the masked guy is. Then when it reveals to be Kenta, I popped. I'm like, fuck yeah, it's a guy that WWE didn't know how to use and just let him go and let him wrestle. That's his thing. So hopefully AEW does that. But it was cool to see Kenta there and a new matchup for Moxley that is fresh here in America. And it was not predictable. That's what I liked about it. I don't want unpredictability just for the sake of having it. But this was unpredictable in a good way, where we're going somewhere out of it. Not like the Lumberjack match where we don't know where the hell we're going with it. So awesome main event, and I like the business with Kenta at the end.
Before you jump in, Ben, I was just any of our listeners, if you get bored, if you could go ahead and just edit the episode of Trunks making his first appearance in Dragon Ball Z and just put Kenta's head with the purple hair. I think it would work out perfect. That's a viral TikTok video for you there. So anyway, just giving you ideas. Or HMG Talk, Chris, if you're listening, do that. Ben, what did you think of the main event?
Yeah, I agree with Sil, man. A crazy spectacle, dude, of athleticism, and it definitely needed to happen, because if they would have dropped the ball, people would be screaming like me how bad this show was tonight. It really was, in that it was saved by the girls and this main event. Every other part of the show was a absolute amateur hour travesty, in my opinion, with guys who can do a lot better. It's just the setup, and they're not set up for success. That's the problem. But yeah, dude, I was glad to see Gallows and Anderson. I'm sure it feels good for them to get the shine how they really had never have. And tonight it was clicking, and I bet they're pumped off that and they want to do more. And hopefully they get set up to do that. The Kenta stuff, like I said, if it's crossover with New Japan business and they're doing business across the board, then good, so be it. But we're stepping on biz again. You know what I mean? One seg doesn't end with a pinfall and heels up or whatever. This guy's got to come in right away and do whatever for the surprise. It worked here, but they're playing that card way too much as a production trick and a writing trick of stepping on business to move right into something else. A finish is an end point. That's fine to end on that. All right. I do like cliffhanging shows, and I like starting new business, no doubt. It worked here. Just it makes me fearful, because it reinforces to them that they can do it 16 times on a show and it's going to work, and it's not. So, yeah, I said what I got to say. You guys,
how great does Gallows look, by the way? I mean, shape of his life, huh?
Gear looks great. Absolutely, dude.
In good shape.
Best I've seen him, and most over probably he'll get since Festus, really. I mean, Festus was over his shit when we worked Southern style, dude.
Yeah, also I liked like, maybe because I hadn't seen wrestling in a couple weeks, Hangman's gear. I like his new gear. Looked really good too. I like it. It looked really polished. A couple last things just to wrap things up here, because we had a couple things here. Apparently New Japan Pro Wrestling has announced a deal with the Roku channel. So you will be able, well, I guess more details will be announced, but you'll be able to watch New Japan Pro Wrestling through your streaming app on Roku. So that's pretty neat. Second thing is here, BTE, they did something this week that I thought would have been a better Impact segment been. So they have Matt Hardy with the Private Party, and they're walking to the backstage, and Matt's telling Private Party, you got to go into the locker room and you got to get into the head of the Good Brothers. So they're holding a bell. They walk into the locker room, and Gallus is sitting there sleeping, and Private Party walks up, and they go 1, 2, 3, and they ring the bell to try to get him to switch into Festus. So he wakes up pissed, and he's all like, "Oh, what the hell? Why would you fucking do that? That's a dick move. Get the hell out of the locker. Why are you trying to make me fucking turn?" And Anderson, Carl comes in. He's like, "What's going on? They're fucking with you. They're trying to make me turn into Festus." So I thought that was a good segment. I thought that was a good call.
He actually should have done the face like partially while he's waking up. He
kind of did. He kind of does it. Yeah, it would have been better on TV. That's what I'm saying. It would have been a good segment.
And that's
for TV.
fine. And good for them. Good for them, paying fucking homage to it all, dude. That's the levels and layers we need to play on. But if it's not getting seen, then what's it matter?
Right. Should have been on TV.
Let's get more Good Brothers and Omega doing stuff of consequence as a thread throughout the show. And I think we'll get a lot more out of that group. They had that great match last night. They're a strong bond, but let's start featuring them more. And he's the champion, so we need to start centering the show, at least some episodes around that championship. So let's see it. They ran with the ball last night, so give it to them and give them more. we can get away with telling 2 major stories in one show. We don't have to tell 20.
Well, that's all the stories we have for you guys here today, guys. Another edition of Light the Fuse right here on hackerhamin.podbean.com. I'm your host in the scene of the air is clean. I'm lighting up green, your boy, MSG. You can check out a brand new episode of Suck My Balls podcast. The conclusion of the 2-part episode of Do the Handicap Go to Hell? Probably is up right now on all podcast outlets, as well as the audio is available on YouTube. You can check out the brand new episode of the New Force Order podcast, number 98. That's out right now. As well as if you are interested, check out my sponsor. If you're a stoner like myself, you like to get baked, join the Bake Boys Club, bro. Head over to bakeboysclub.com. Check out the shirts, the hats. If you see something you like, use the code SuckMyBallsPod, P-O-D, as in podcast, and you'll get 15% off your order. And, of course, check out thebrosters.com, Russo Bros coffee. So go to thebrosters.com, check out Russo Bro coffee. Use the code 5LB, save some money there. As well as you can go to ZordosOliveOil.com and you can lather yourself up with the finest of Greek artisan olive oil, or you can make great food with it. That's probably what you should do with it. But if you want to lather yourself up, we are not here to judge. That's all I got for you today. Chris Silvio, what's going on in Florida?
Getting Jenna ready to take on Holiday this weekend. So don't forget to show some love. That's going to be on Tidal Wrestling Network. $10, you can catch a badass pay-per-view. Jenna and Holiday are headlining the undercard, and then the main event we get Thunder Rosa and Allison Kay in a cage. So come on, those 2 matches alone, it's going to be fucking crazy. So check that one out. Other than that, I'm doing my thing coaching over here at Side Dojo. So if you want to get your ass in gear, you can reach out to the HMG group and we'll get you connected.
Also, patreon.com/2manpowertrip, patreon.com/the Big Vito brand, patreon.com/Stevie Ray TV, patreon.com/Hamin Media Group. Coming soon, Rip Rogers. We got more. We're killing it. 2021. We're never going to sleep anymore.
Coming next, the A show. I got to finish the graphic for Idol in April tonight as well. But I just posted on Hamin Media Group the next 5 pages of Birthright, Tim Alberino's book, the coming post-human apocalypse and the usurpation of Adam's dominion on planet Earth. So if you want to see the atheist read secular texts and disagree with them while applying ancient alien theory, then Hamin Media Group is for you on Patreon. But yeah, I'm negative Nelly, whatever, man. Just they burnt me out the last 2 weeks. I can't sell for things that are less than, and I won't lower my standards of writing and excellence and what I demand for my performers, instead of some tongue-in-cheek making a mockery of an art form that we spent a lot of time and money, bumps and miles to protect. And I'm tired of seeing things cheapen and hoard out and then just becoming the new standard. That is no standard in my opinion. So we're going to keep setting the standards high, and hopefully they'll raise the bar to join us up here where the air is clean. And I might need to smoke on some green right here real quick. Take the lighter, light up a big Molotov cocktail and take a drink of that as well, infidels. We're going to burn this whole goddamn place down before mom comes home and sees us all embarrassed for watching this type of wrestling. Here at hackerhamin.podbean.com, we're going to light the fuse. Yalla!